Welcome to the Explainer. You know, for years, when you thought about self-driving cars, you basically thought about one company, Tesla. But a single announcement from Nvidia just blew that whole story wide open. So today, we're going to dig into how the entire game just got completely reset.
All right, so to really get why this is such a massive deal, we've got to start with the story everyone believed for years. I mean, this was the narrative that pumped up Tesla's valuation, and pretty much the whole market just accepted it as gospel. And this right here, this captures it perfectly. The whole idea was that Tesla's full self-driving, or FSD, was this one-of-a-kind secret sauce that nobody else had. I mean, we're talking years ahead of any rivals. This wasn't just some marketing slogan, it was the absolute foundation of its huge stock price.
And the logic behind it, well, it seemed bulletproof, right? You've got millions of Teslas out there on the road, basically acting like a giant army of data-collecting robots. So the question everyone asked was, how could anyone possibly catch up? It built this incredibly powerful story that Tesla was just inevitable, that they were going to own the whole self-driving and robotaxi future.
And look, this wasn't just hype. It was all baked into these serious-looking financial models. You had analysts projecting a huge growing fleet of cars, assuming that a really high percentage of people, like 50 or 60% on the high-end models, would pay for FSD, and at a pretty steep price, too. You put all that together, and the models pointed to one thing: an absolute mountain of cash coming in down the line.
But what if that lead wasn't as locked in as everyone thought? You know, as strong as that whole monopoly story was, it had this one tiny little weak spot. And, well, a big event just came along and hit it hard.
And that's where Nvidia comes in. They didn't just, show up with a slightly better computer chip. No, they walked into the ring with a whole new strategy, a playbook that's threatening to completely tear up the old rules of the game.
So the thing causing all this chaos is called Alpamayo. And you've got to understand this is not just another chip. Think of it more like FSD in a box. It's basically a complete off-the-shelf solution that Nvidia is offering to every other car maker out there, letting them instantly get into the self-driving game.
And here's why that's such a game changer. It's the whole shebang, the entire AI stack from the car's eyes to its brain. It's open, so other companies can build on it. And look at this. Big names like Mercedes, Lucid, and even Uber are already jumping on board. Suddenly, Tesla's rivals have a real, credible path to autonomy that doesn't involve spending 10 years and billions of dollars trying to catch up.
Yeah, some people are calling this the ChatGPT moment for physical AI. And what they mean by that is, this is bigger than just cars. Just like ChatGPT opened everyone's eyes to what language AI could do, this is doing the same for AI that actually moves around in the real world. It validates this huge market for robots and drones and everything else. And it's a huge signal that this pie is way too big for just one company to eat.
Okay, so what does this all mean for the bottom line? How does this new challenger actually mess with the financial picture for Tesla's crown jewel? Let's get into the numbers.
Well, it really boils down to analysts going back to their spreadsheets and tweaking these 4 key numbers. First, they have to lower how much of the market Tesla will actually own. Second, they can't assume Tesla can charge whatever it wants anymore. Third, that super fast growth, yeah, they're pushing that further out into the future. And finally, they have to assume Tesla's going to have to spend a lot more money to keep its lead.
And when you put the before and after side by side, wow, the difference is just night and day. We've gone from this winner-take-all fantasy to a real competitive dogfight. Look at that. The long-term share of the profits gets cut almost in half. And those dreams of insane software-level profits, they're getting a major reality check. And here's what that looks like in cold, hard cash. In this one example, the best-case scenario revenue for FSD in the future gets a massive haircut, as they say on Wall Street. We're talking about chopping it from over $50 billion down to $25 billion. That's tens of billions of dollars in potential value just, poof, gone from the forecast.
So, where does that leave us? What does this new world look like? And it's important to say, this isn't necessarily about Tesla losing. It's about the entire race being changed completely.
Just to recap, the old story, the one everyone bought into, was a classic winner-take-all tale. It was one company against the world, set to conquer a brand new frontier all by itself. But the new story? It's completely different. Now, it's a multi-winner market. We're talking about several heavyweights in the ring, all throwing punches, all fighting for their slice of what we now know is a genuinely huge prize.
But here's the really interesting twist in all this. In a weird way, Nvidia showing up is actually good news for everyone. It's a huge validation of Tesla's whole approach. It confirms that this market for self-driving technology, the TAM as they call it, is just as massive as everyone hoped. The pie is real, and it is gigantic.
So this completely changes how you have to think about Tesla's position. They're still absolutely a top player. Nobody's denying that huge data advantage they have. But they're no longer seen as the only winner. They're one of the winners. That data advantage is now a weapon in a real fight, not just a free pass to owning the whole market.
And that really brings us to the big question now. The race for autonomy isn't a solo marathon anymore, it's a full-on Grand Prix. The question is no longer if self-driving is going to be a massive market. We know it is. The question now is, who's going to claim the biggest slice of the pie?